Hey guys, welcome back to A&J Education, and in today's video we're talking about extracurriculars that specifically you need to make an application to a top UK university such as Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial, UCL or St Andrews. So if you're applying to the UK and you're thinking of what extracurriculars you need for your personal statement, stay tuned and let's go. Hey guys, welcome back. So there are quite a few myths that surround the extracurriculars and there are lots of ideas and a lot of them are fake news about what you actually need to make a competitive application for UK universities. So I think the biggest myth and the myth number one is that you need to be an all-rounder, you need to play school rugby or hockey team, or you need to have grade 8 violin, or you need to do charity work and volunteering. Now, all of those things are great, but they're not actually very relevant in the context of UK applications. It will be a different story if you were applying to America, where showing a holistic profile with lots of extracurriculars and lots of things that you do can help, although that's not necessarily always true, but that's a whole nother video that we'll have to do. In the context of UK applications to top, highly selective UK universities, they're really looking for academic curiosity, passion for the subject, and ability to do well in that subject over a number of years, a prolonged period of time. Universities like Oxford, Cambridge or Imperial don't actually care about your grade 8 violin or your rugby performance or your drama, acting skills or singing. They just don't care. They have no interest in that. And many people think wrongly and they make a wrong assumption that they need to be an all-rounder and focus on all these different things. No, in fact, if you just focus on your subject, you'll be fine. But you need to be focusing on the correct things, which comes to point number 2, which is exactly, for the extracurriculars for Oxford, Cambridge and top UK universities. Again, many people think that, look, I need to do an internship at a university or have a glowing reference letter from a leading expert in X field to get in. Look, if you can get hold of some sort of work experience that will give you access and will give you a reference letter like that, of course that's great and they can only benefit. However, majority of applicants who get in, they get in with relatively simple things that have been executed really well. So for students who come to A&J, we would work on all the basics like reading, like attending conferences, participating in online courses and taking advantage of what's available online. And then, and this is the key thing, your job is to critically evaluate what you've done in your personal statement. So rather than just describing, I've read X and Y, and I've attended this conference, and I've done this online course, or I've done this internship. No, instead of just doing that, which is simply listing the stuff that you've done, which is okay, but it's a bit meh, what you should do is you should critically evaluate and tell me what you've learned from each of those experiences, what it's inspired you to do, and how they connect together. Now, suddenly that's a much stronger proposition. On the other side, you should also remember that whilst you have control over the personal statement, it's your teachers who write you a reference. So if you're doing all of this amazing stuff in isolation and are not staying in touch with your teachers and not informing them in a timely fashion about all these achievements, then the school reference is not going to reflect what's in your personal statement. And there will be a mismatch, which means that the admissions officers are less likely to trust everything you put in the personal statement, which is the number 3 point that I make, which is 99% of people forget about. And the point is, it is very, very important to find out who in your school will be writing your UCAS reference. And once you find out who's writing that reference, you need to build a relationship with that person. And now, as you already know by now, relationships are not built overnight or over a space of a week. It takes months. And it means that once a month, get into a habit of sending them an email or seeing them in person, best if it's possible to do both, and say, hey, this month I've read this book, or this month I've attended this course, or this month I'm doing this volunteering at a local university or local research center, and this is what I learned from the experience. Now, by the time comes September, let's say if you start doing this a year before making an application, by the time comes September of the year when you apply, and if you're applying to Oxford or Cambridge, you need to apply by 15th of October of that year, of your final year in school. By the time you approach your teacher, they will know and they will have a track record that you've been pushing yourself, you've been working really hard outside of the school, you've been doing all of these amazing things outside of the school context. Now, if you don't tell them, then it's much harder for them to write you a great reference because they simply have no idea what you're doing outside of school. And you may think, well, you know what, I'll simply just tell them in September, I'll just give them a list, look, I've done X, Y, Z. Well, you can do that, and you can do it at the last moment. However, our experience shows that it's actually not as effective, because teachers simply don't trust you as much and don't take you as seriously compared to other students who follow our advice and who make a conscious effort to build a relationship and who keep their teachers updated throughout the process. So yeah, make sure that you stay in touch with the teachers, really work in that relationship, and make sure that they know all of the stuff you're doing outside of school. So guys, in today's video, 3 simple but quick and very important points. Number 1, UK universities, top UK universities, unlike the US, do not necessarily care about holistic profile. So your sport, music, singing, drama, volunteering, it's all great stuff. It's not really relevant for your application. Secondly, what is relevant are academic things, but it's very important, stuff like reading, conferences, online courses, internships at a local university or research center, whatever that may be. But again, don't make the mistake of doing stuff for the sake of listing it in the personal statement, because that is a waste of time. Instead, do those things if you're able to, and then demonstrate in your personal statement what you've learned from each experience and what each experience has inspired you to do and what thoughts came up in your mind as you were doing it. And point number 3, which is probably the most important point, is that it's very important to build a relationship with your referee. So start investing your time into that relationship nice and early, at least a year before, and keep them regularly updated on all the things you're doing, so that your teachers, by the time it's time to write the reference, normally a couple months before the application, they will have a full record, and it will be easy for them to write a really strong supporting reference with lots of positive things to say about you and sentences. Let's say if I were the applicant, something like, oh yes, Sunny is not only a leader at school and he's doing great in his classes, but he's also been pushing himself outside of school, and he's been doing, over the past few years, he's done X, Y, Z, which have been greatly beneficial, and we're very proud of him. So if you're able to cultivate a relationship, do it, because it will pay the dividends later. Hope this was good. Good luck, guys. Take care, and let us know what you're doing for your extracurriculars and how your applications are going. Best of luck.